Hey guys, this is Lisa from My Copper Life, and today we're going to work on a pair of copper rose post earrings. I really hope you enjoy this video. First of all, we're going to need 20 gauge copper wire, chain nose pliers, flat nose pliers, round nose pliers, wire cutters, silicone earring backs, a cup burr, and a metric ruler. So here I've got some 20 gauge solid copper wire. You can use any kind of wire, but for this video we're using solid copper wire. I'm going to take a piece and then I'm going to smooth it out as best as I can. It's really good to try to start with a smooth piece of wire so you don't have a lot of kinks and things in your wire. And once I get that, I'm going to measure 42 centimeters of wire for this project. You'll need two pieces, one for each earring. The brand of copper wire you use doesn't really particularly matter. As long as you're using dead soft 100% copper wire, this will work really well for you. Okay, this next part I'm going to be using a ring mandrel, which I forgot to put in my materials list, but yes, we're using a ring mandrel. I usually do around the size 8 ring to do this in order to kind of make a long enough post for the earring, and then I'll wrap it around as tight as possible around the mandrel, taking one side and pulling it one direction around the other wire, and then taking the second wire and pulling it back over like this. Now I'm going to take the wires and I'm going to wrap them around in a clockwise position. So the first wire is going to go up under the second wire, and then I'm going to pull that one up, and then I'm going to pull the other one underneath that one and pull the other one up. So you just want to keep doing this in a clockwise pattern around the center of the rows and trying to keep to the outside of each row that you're going to do. I'm going to do 4 rows all the way around, so just count as you're going. You want to make sure you have 4. You can go a little bit smaller if you want, if you prefer a smaller earring. I've done 3 rows. 4 rows is kind of my preference to kind of just, I don't know, it just shows up better on the ear. So while you're doing this, you don't want to just kind of twist the wires like in a big row and then wrap it around, because it tends to make the petals a lot smaller. So I prefer to kind of have a more organic look, and that's why I kind of go around. I can see how big I make my petal or how small. I can kind of variate them to kind of make them different sizes and shapes to make them look more organic. There really isn't any like right or wrong way to do this per se. It's all up to the creator. You just play around with it and see what works best for you, what looks nice to you. It's the whole joy of actually making your own jewelry. You get to make it the way you want to. And so this is one of the reasons why I love working with wire. It's 1, it's forgiving. 2, it's just fun. It's fun to see what I can create out of it, and they're so versatile. So while I'm wrapping the last couple of rows here, I just thought I'd share a little bit of my jewelry journey with you. I started probably playing around with wire jewelry about 8 years ago, and really just got interested. I watched quite a few YouTube videos, so I may have watched some of you even that are my subscribers now. But I just really enjoyed it, and it just looked like a lot of fun. So I just went ahead and started, got my first spool of wire, and my first projects were awful. It was kind of funny. Now going back looking at some of those, I just kind of have to laugh at myself. But after some time and some practice and playing around with it, it just started becoming more natural to me. And I now just love doing anything with wire. It's just a lot of fun. So now I'm coming up to the end here. I'm just gonna finish doing my last couple wraps here, kind of adjust and get it ready for the next part. You wanna wrap right until you get past the ring band on the right side. There's a total of 4 rows here. Now I'm taking the ring off the mandrel, and I'm gonna get ready to cut the ring band so that we can make and form our post part of the earring. So I'm going to cut it right here at about center. It doesn't matter if you're exactly center or not, because the majority of that's going to be cut off in the end anyway. So now I'm going to choose which one of these wires would make the best post, preferably the one that's the most centered. So I'm trying this one first, and then I realize that it's not quite centered and I don't want to use that one. So I'm going back and deciding to use the second one. It's really just a process of looking at it and trying to figure out which one is going to be the most centered for the earring, because you want it to be pretty centered in the ear. That way you don't have a lopsided pair of earrings. So then once I figure that out and get it pretty centered in the earring, I'm going to straighten out the post section of that. And I do use my fingers a lot for this because I don't want to mar it up with tools or things like that. But I do use flat nose pliers sometimes to help me with that. Now I'm going to bend these excess wires up toward the post, or down toward the post, whichever way you're looking at it. And I'm going to get my chain nose pliers. And with the chain nose pliers, I'm going to make my earring into like the flat rows into a cone shape. So that just takes a little bit of work. Just grabbing and kind of pulling those rows downward. And you just kind of keep working around as you get it into a cone shape. And you want to be pretty gentle while doing this. If you're grabbing and squeezing really hard on those pliers, you're going to mark up your wire. So try to be as gentle as possible, using your fingers to help as well. I kind of squeeze while I am doing that. Now once I get that cone shape, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of press in those sides into and underneath it, because that's going to give it more of that dimension. You want that kind of 3D dimension for the rose. So see how it's kind of starting to make that shape. It's starting to really look like a rose. So, and there you go, a pretty little rose. Now I'm going to take these wires and start wrapping them into the center. So I'm going to take the other wire that could have been used for a post, and I'm going to wrap that around the actual one that I'm using as a post, and that will just help kind of give it a little bit more stability as it's in there. You don't have to do this, I just do because I feel like it just gives that post a little bit more stability for the earring. And then once I'm happy with wrapping around there, I'm going to go ahead and cut off any of the excess wire, and with my round nose pliers, I'm going to take the end and do a little loop at the end, and then just kind of turn it in toward the post. I'm sorry guys, I keep going off screen. I'm trying to learn to stay in screen. Anyway, there it is. It's in there. As you can see right there, I've got it wrapped in there. And you kind of want them to be down in that cone a little bit, so that way they're not going to be like scratchy or anything like that. They'll be down inside of that cone as pretty much as possible. And then here I am wrapping the other one, and I'm going to push that down in there as well. And now the third one, again off screen. There we go. Grabbing the round nose pliers, making a little loop, and then just setting it down in there. And there we go. So there's all of that down in there. Now's the time to get any last minute adjustments that you might need on the rose itself. So here I'm taking the flat nose pliers and just kind of pushing in and adjusting the rose to get it to look really nice and uniform, as round as possible. And then I'm going to flatten it a little bit because you don't want it too high profile on the ear. So I'm going to flatten it down a bit on the sides here and kind of make sure it's all kind of flat. You don't want kind of big bumps in the bottom of it. It's not going to be very comfortable on the ear that way. So as flat as possible. Now we're going to work on the post. So here I am taking the flat nose pliers, and like I said earlier, I'm going to work it a little bit to kind of flatten or straighten that wire. Not flatten, but straighten the wire to make it as straight as possible for this next part, because we're going to want to cut the excess wire off. And now what I do here is I usually cut about 1.2 centimeters. That seems to be the most comfortable for the post. And that's what I'm going to do here, just cut that. Okay, so I'm not sure why I hesitated here, but I did. But there you go. It looks like it's only at 1 centimeter, but I account for the very end of the ruler where there's about 0.2 centimeters left there. Anyway, here's the end of this. It's a very kind of sharp edge, and most people aren't going to want to stick that in their ear. It's going to kind of be uncomfortable. So what I do now is I use a cut burr, and this is, I think, a 1.8 millimeter cut burr, but I just take that at the end of the wire and twist it back and forth. And what this does is it just kind of rounds the end of that wire to make it more comfortable putting in an ear. Here I've set it down on the desk surface, and then I'm doing it with some pressure down on it, which makes it easier. So there's the finished post with a nice rounded edge there for you. And here is the earring all complete. So there's the post, and there's the earring. And there is the second one I had made earlier. Now, this part, I just added some silicone backings on there. You can use whatever backings you want. I just like the silicone backings. They don't slide off. So here they are, all complete and done. My copper rose post earrings. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I look forward to doing more in the future. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you the next time.